everybody. So let's give emojis, everyone. Let's see some emojis for Thrillseeker. And thanks to all of you guys for
Hey.
coming on out. I'll do a quick introduction. My name is Bobby Carlton, and I'm a writer for VR Scout, but I've also have been on the judging panel for the VR Awards, I believe, since 2017. And in it, part of being a judge is you really get to push the idea of virtual reality, what it can do, its possibilities, push it further. And of course, we have our VR social influencer of the year, Thrillseeker. So let's give it up for Thrillseeker. Some emojis here. Um,
Hey.
but yes, yeah. So we're gonna have a conversation, and so I'll just start off. First of all, congratulations on
Oh,
this.
thank you
And
very much. Yeah.
yeah. So what when you won, like tell me like what were you thinking? Like what were your thoughts when you found out you won this role here?
Yeah. So, I was actually streaming the whole thing on Twitch, and I did not expect to win at all. I was really honored to be on in the finalists at all. To be nominated and to actually get into the finalists. So the fact that I won, it took me by complete surprise. I think afterwards I felt like, okay, that was pretty well deserved. The year was awesome for the channel. 2020 and 2019 were really awesome for the channel. A lot of growth, and we did a lot of really awesome things with the channel and VR related things. Yeah, it was an absolute shock, but it uh, really opened my heart up a lot. I guess it also inspired me to want to be better, of course, to
Right.
live up to it.
How many followers do you have for your channel?
So right now I'm at, I believe the last time I checked which was probably 5 minutes ago, because that's about how often I check analytics. I think I'm at like 323K right now. So we're
Really?
getting up there. Yeah, I think by the
Amazing.
time that at VR Awards it was at like 220 or 240. So it's definitely growing. That's all the goal, right? try to expand your influence as much as possible.
Yeah. So do you find like people who follow your channel, are they VR people in the VR industry, or are they just people who are just like just curious about virtual reality? And what kind of questions do you get in the comments of your videos that you post?
Right. So something that I really try and do, and it takes up a lot of my life and a lot of my brain power, but I try to read almost every comment. Sometimes there's a lot. It could be 1,000 a day, or it could be 500 a day, or whatever. I try to read almost every single one, and it really gives me a really good uh, what the audience is like and watching the videos. Um, that's from the audience, and I found the biggest demographic is either hardcore are people that are the same language. Um, and then the next thing is people that have VR yet. Of younger people are interested in VR, maybe fascinated by it, but they have maybe so it's a I can bridge between that's interested in VR and make that bridge and actually get in your program. I think of myself
Was everybody
kind
able to
of
hear that, or it was
oh,
getting
Yeah, it's
choppy for a
pretty
second?
laggy right now.
Yeah, pretty
It's
choppy.
pretty
Yeah,
choppy.
it was pretty
Pretty
choppy.
choppy there.
Yeah.
I'm
I
sorry
Yeah, it
just
was
about
definitely
that.
choppy.
Don't die, Thrill
but
Seeker.
um and that's one of the downer parts of virtual reality, right? We would run this technology. Um, uh, Try to repeat that.
Yeah,
That
sure.
you were.
Okay, so basically, um,
Uh-oh, still.
Yeah.
it's
Is this a
pretty
question that
bad.
you threw into the washer?
Yeah,
Probably yes. No, it's not. This is problem.
yeah.
I'm going to try and swap. That's the thing that.
Um, can you try coming out and then coming back in, because we just it's
Yeah,
really
sure.
so I will keep them. Yeah, here we go. I got Schmitty. So he's gonna jump back in, everybody. And I apologize. I guess this, first of all, this is what happens with a live virtual reality event, right? We get these glitches, and Wi-Fi can play a big role, and maybe we can dive into again, and we are going to talk about like what are the obstacles of virtual reality, and why why do we have problems like that? But I will say this while he's rejoining us. For me, when voting on these different areas of virtual reality, whether it's a VR used for medical field, or in this case VR social influence of the year, right? You're really always just looking for an experience or someone who's really all about the exploration of the technology, versus someone who's just excited about it and just wants to talk about it. Like you really want to sort of know like what works and what doesn't work. And I think in the case of Thrillseeker, he's all of his videos. If you look in his videos, it's all about exploration of virtual reality tech. It's all about how. Oh, go ahead, Swift. You were waving.
Welcome
So-
back. We're all
Hold on.
forgetting me.
Oh, there he is.
Hello.
How'd it go?
Girl baby's back.
All right. How's that? Are we better?
even
off?
better.
Much, a
lot
little bit
better.
better. Okay.
Now
Sweet,
I'm
sweet.
All right.
Oh,
Now
Now,
he's right here.
now you're in
Heck
the
yeah.
audience.
Oh, now you're.
Right,
now
right, right.
you're
Okay.
All right, cool. We're all good to go. Nice.
Okay.
Yeah. Whenever I try to do my gestures, I'm used to VR chat a bit more, so I end up teleporting when I'm trying to gesture. But it's all good. Sweet, sweet.
So, if you want to repeat like the sort of like comments, I had heard a little bit that you try to read all of your comments, and sort of like what are you seeing mostly in comments?
Yeah, so I generally with like the audience, I see either people that are brand new into VR and they're super passionate and we speak on the same wavelength, usually enthusiasts. Um, and the other
Mhm.
side are people that want to be in VR, but they're just not there yet, or they haven't made the plunge yet. And so I think a lot of my channel is that bridge. It's bridging that gap between somebody that wants to be in VR and actually getting there. And that's
Like
I
wants
think
to be in VR as in
a
like
big thing.
being like a creator and
No, just buying a headset in general. Because I mean, for
Okay.
people, it's something new. It's maybe they've been interested for a few years, but wasn't quite ready, or there was detractors, people saying, "Oh, it's not that
Mhm.
great." So I'm kind of like a hype man, saying, "Hey, this is what VR has to offer," and
Right.
really showing everybody at every cutting edge moment of this is the best that VR has to offer, and this is why you should get it now.
How many experiences do you try a week? Like what do you like? What
Oh
does a
wait,
typical week for you
so
look like?
you're right. I try out a lot of beta software. So I get sent a lot of keys for things to try out. I probably say like anywhere from like 2 to 5 new apps a week, but sometimes it's none. Sometimes it is 5. Sometimes it's more than that. Like one really fun one that I've been in for the first time was Engage, doing some education stuff. That was really cool.
Okay.
I just did Veil VR, which is that awesome FPS game. Um, let's see another one. I mean, of course, Gorilla Tag. I've been really enjoying Gorilla Tag lately. Who hasn't been?
Oh, yeah,
So
it's very popular. Yeah. And
yeah.
like, where do you see like for example, like in the sense of development of virtual reality and hardware, um, for you, like where do you see VR going? Where do you see it heading at this point?
Right. So I think that right now there's all of these like okay, VR can really go anywhere. There's no limits. In terms of education, VR can totally revolutionize the education system, and I think it's right there. It's pretty easy to see. It can revolutionize gaming. It can revolutionize training. Um, travel. So many things. And so I see it becoming a kind of unstoppable force in media. It's going to change the way that we do things fundamentally regarding media. I mean, the same way that the internet changed traditional media forever, VR is going to do the same thing to how we viewed things just 5 years ago. YouTube videos or
Right.
games or trading, things like that.
How do you think its impact will be on marketing, right? Like this like this world of now that we have these virtual worlds and people are going in, and you talk about Engage, like how do brands and consumerism sort of exist in there? Do you see potentially that growing a lot bigger, like the idea of buying ad space in this type of area?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, that's a kind of it's kind of a touchy topic, I guess. Marketing and advertising in virtual reality, because um, as these VR headsets get more and more advanced, there's a lot of biometrics that are being tracked. And whenever you're talking about marketing and advertising and biometrics, you put the whole thing together, you got some really great opportunities for targeted advertisements and things like that.
Mhm.
Which huge opportunities for marketing companies. But it's like, it's a matter of, do we want to go down that path, right? Open up that can of
Right.
worms. It really
Yeah.
is a can of worms that we'd have to deal with. I'd rather deal with that problem beforehand rather than open the can of worms and then deal with it. But I mean, huge, massive opportunities for companies advertising and marketing within VR. I think one huge thing is you look at VR chat and billboards, and if you guys went to the New Year's Eve event, there's huge billboards everywhere, and I mean, there's all advertising things relevant to VR chat and content creators within the space. But that's just like a nice example of really organic advertising done pretty well within a virtual space. And I think that that's probably a good way to do it, is to emulate the way that we have advertising now in the real life, but within the virtual
Mhm.
space, and maybe a little bit more targeted.
Right.
I think that's probably a great way to do it. So like at least to start off, before we start throwing in advertisements on your main display, just right there.
Do you remember what your first virtual reality experience was, and like what was going through your head when you tried it? Like
Right.
what was your
So
reaction like?
my first VR experience was pretty awful. Not gonna lie. Um, I started out with the DK2. That was my very first real VR experience in a roller coaster sim. And I don't get motion sick really, so it's not like I got sick. It wasn't very impressive. But what I saw in VR was not what it was, but what it can be. Um,
Mhm.
I very much so took the name at face value. It's a development kit, right? It was a DK2. Was not running it on like a very good PC. But really, I say that my first experience where I was like, oh, this is it, was whenever I got my CV1 and I played Robo Recall for the first time. And Robo Recall still stands to this day. It's still an incredible title.
Great
It
game.
still does its job. And yeah, and that was the moment that I was like, oh, this is it. Okay, this is what VR can be. I mean, it's very different from a roller coaster sim at the resolution of a DK2, right? It's a totally different experience. So yeah, that was where it really hit me, and I was like, okay, this is where gaming's going, and it's kind of here. Of course, there was a content drought for a long time, right, in between,
Mhm.
2019 and early 2017, but sticking with it, and you know that was really my my first experience where I was like, okay, this is it.
This is, and so
And then VR chat too.
VR chat.
Yeah,
Okay, well actually, you
that
bring
was where socially it was. I was like, this is it. That's Robo Recall, where I was like, okay, this is where games are heading. VR chat is where I realized, oh, this is where social
right.
interaction on the internet is going. But
What about your reaction to the recent Rec Room news? Like the
oh man,
evaluation. What are your thoughts on that?
super proud of Rec Room. Super proud of Sean and the crew. I mean, amazing work, everybody. Like, Rec Room has been personally where I bring my family into VR. That's where we hang out,
Mhm.
So Rec Room is very, very, very close to me. And I know it means a lot for a lot of people. And them moving, okay, you take something like Rec Room or VR Chat. It's a very multiplayer. Rec Room even more, but it's a multi-platform uh, social interaction. It's like a social platform that's very multi-platform, and it's in VR primarily. Um, all it does is bring people into VR more, right? And
Mhm.
so I know a lot of people were pretty upset. Some people were pretty upset that Rec Room might be putting a lot of their work into consoles or into other platforms that aren't VR. But at the end of the day, those people that are playing it on an Xbox or a PlayStation 4, the ultimate goal is to play what they're doing in VR, right? And so that them playing on like a Xbox first or a phone might be the step that brings them into VR. You know,
Oh
same thing
yeah,
with like VR
yeah.
chat. And so I love the fact that they're opening up to all these different platforms. I love the idea that they're, I mean, a crazy valuation, right? Like that's incredible news for a VR company, a VR social app company to be evaluated like that. So
It kind
super
of came
awesome
out of
news.
nowhere,
Big congrats.
right?
Right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I was just scrolling through Twitter. I was like, what? You know, I was like, what the heck? Okay, cool, nice.
I don't think
So
anybody sort of saw that coming, right? And you're right, like right, being available as a mobile app was like
right.
it sort of it took us out of the headset. So which for me, spending a lot of time in the VR headset just isn't, I work in VR, but I don't want to spend my entire day in VR.
Right.
It's just for something I just want to do. But as a social influencer for you, like what do you see are like sort of the obstacles of virtual reality right now? Like where do you see sort of like, where it might be stalling or where it could be better?
Right. So I think the best way to gauge this is I know that there's a lot of I've been this way in the past too, but there are there are a lot of people that will take VR and no matter what inconvenience there is, they'll throw on full body trackers and haptic suit and their index with now maybe like a face tracker and knuckles trackers or extra charges all over them and everything, and it's no problem. They'll go to any length to get into VR and at the highest fidelity possible. That's me a lot of times, but then I realize VR is pretty inconvenient. It is an inconvenience. It's kind of
Mhm.
hard to get in for the typical person, and to really experience VR at like the highest level possible. Let's say full body tracking with mocap and an index or a Pimax, whatever, with the haptic suit and trackers and all that. It's an inconvenience. You have to strap things on you. You have to have everything charged. It's pretty uncomfortable. You kind of look funny, you know.
Mhm.
And so I think that the biggest thing is just making everything easy and streamlined without sacrificing functionality. So yeah, min maxing that, right? So
Right.
maximum functionality, maximum comfort, maximum ease of use. And I think, that's really the number one thing that has to happen. Of course, driving down the cost, that's also a huge thing.
Mhm.
So cheap
And we're
and
seeing
easy
that,
easy
right?
to use headsets.
Yeah, with with the
Right.
Quest, right? I mean, the fact that
Oh yeah.
that cost is much lower. So let's switch gears a little bit. Let me ask you, like, I mean, you have, I've seen your YouTube page. There's, a ton of videos. I like, how do you make a video? Like, what is your process in making a video? Like, what's that like?
Right. So I'll walk you through a typical Tuesday news day, right? Which I'll walk you through quickly, like another form of video. So this is I actually start. I usually write, record, edit, and post Tuesday news days all on a Tuesday. So I'll wake up at say 5 a.m. And I do this because I want to have the most cutting edge news possible. You don't know how many times I've started a video on Monday and then I wake up Tuesday and something crazy just dropped while I was sleeping and I'm like, oh man.
Oh yeah.
So now which that's something that sucks about really only having news once a week, right? Is that sometimes I miss something big or sometimes I whatever. So anyways, I usually wake up at like 5 a.m., make some coffee or grab like a Monster, sit down, look up, check out everything that happened the week, and I just get down to writing. I usually write about a 4-page script for Tuesday News Day. And then I usually go directly from whenever I write that last much love thrill out, I open up, Audition, press record the whole thing, edit the audio, slap in the video, and usually by that time, it's about time to post. So I post it, and there we go. That's that's my process for using it. It's usually like anywhere between like a 5 to 8 hour process, and I do it the day of that I post it.
The day of.
Right.
Hold on
And I
one
do
second.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then once you get up there, and then and you see traction pretty quickly with your
Oh yeah.
your videos.
So I mean, I'm constantly watching analytics. I think that's something that's like a curse of a content creator, I guess, is
Mhm.
constantly being aware of how well things are doing and knowing the numbers. I mean, numbers can be very scary, good and bad. You know, you see it's going really well, your channel is blowing up, and you feel, I mean, you feel elated and amazing, and then you're on a downward trend, and you could feel really terrible. So I'm always watching analytics. Yeah, it's a curse.
Right.
But so I'm always watching it. Usually, I've been very lucky to have a pretty sizable group of really passionate VR enthusiasts that look forward to Tuesday News Day every week, and it drives me every single week to produce videos. Without them, I love VR.
Right.
I could do it on my own. Without them, I don't think I could do it for as long as I have. I put out a Tuesday News Day every week. It might not always be on Tuesday, but every week for almost 2 years now, and it's crazy to think about. But yeah, I couldn't do it without the people that sit there and say, you know,
Right.
this is the best part of my Tuesday, or or engage with what the week, what the week was about,
Cool.
So
Cool. Well, this is a good segue. I'm actually going to open up the room
right.
to allow people to ask some questions. So at the bottom, you should be able to see raise your hand. We already have some questions ready in queue. So I have it's Jaden. Jaden, I'm going to give you boom boom. Hold on here. You are on air, Jaden. Ask your or Jose. No, we have Jose. Ask your question.
Hi there. Oh,
Yes. Hello. In first place, I love your channel. You are an idol for me. I think
oh.
Tuesday News Day is like best part of the week for me, at least.
Right.
My my question is: do you think MMOs are the future of VR games?
What was that again? Sorry, can you repeat the question real quick?
Do you think MMOs
Oh yeah.
MMORPGs are the future of VR games?
Oh yeah, totally. So I have a pretty strong opinion on MMORPGs in the VR space, and I don't think it's really been tackled yet. I don't think that any studio at this moment has the funds or capabilities to really do that right now. But I think that MMOs will, in terms of VR space, will take a totally different um, feel and look. Really, what I'm looking forward to is like a metaverse, which is what an MMO is in a way, right? Is a cohesive world with people massively online. I think Jose just blinked out, but uh, um, massive amounts of people playing online together, uh, accomplishing goals and playing games, which that's like sort of an MMO feel. But yeah, I think that MMOs have a huge future in VR, but I think that they'll take on ways and create a genre that we haven't really seen yet. And that's a real power of VR, is to create genres that aren't possible in flat screen. Because like, let's be real, the MMOs that we have today, like Final Fantasy 14 or World of Warcraft or ESO, that doesn't translate into VR. And if you try to translate that into VR, you have a muddy version of what an MMO is. So you have to create new ways to interact with that sort of game. That's my opinion. It's gonna be a while before we're there, but we got Zenith, we have Elysia, we've got a couple good ones on the way. So yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Great question, Jose. Thanks for that. I have it's Okay, it's Jaden. You're back. You now can ask your question.
Right, so
You are. It's
the
Jaden. Are you
videos,
there?
the quality. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yep, we can hear
Yeah,
you.
I got you.
All right. Okay. So, my question was, when do you think will education be a big part of your like? When will uh never mind. Okay.
No problem. Yeah, so education in VR. Oh, nice. Yeah, something that
He's still there.
I mean, it's already happening right now. more like Morehouse College, for example. They're opening up virtual courses online to do like they have 2 courses right now that you could do completely within VR, with the Quest 2, and that's with Engage and Liberty XR. So that's happening there. I know of other programs all over the country, US wise, that are implementing VR into their curriculum. I think that within the next decade, it's going to move really fast with education in VR. It makes sense from a financial point of view. It makes sense from just the quality of learning, right? And the potential that VR has to completely revolutionize the way that people learn, as well as the way that, more importantly, is the way that people teach. I personally have a really hard time sitting in a lecture room and watching a whiteboard, and what, like, you know, that it doesn't click with me. I have to learn with my hands. I have to make mistakes, and I have to learn that way. And I know that there's a lot of people that are really talented and smart, but just don't work in a typical classroom environment. And so VR has a way, it definitely has huge potential to offer totally different ways for people to learn. And I think that that'll really drive with the next couple generations, or the next couple generations of kids that are coming up, as the internet and as honestly as all of our attention spans get shorter and shorter and shorter. You know, VR is a great place to kind of meet in the middle between education, you know, changing the way we learn. I mean, okay, here's my really good example. I'm a big biology guy. I love it, but if I could have learned how mitosis or meiosis works by physically being there on like a Miss Frizzle magic school bus in VR, how sweet would that be versus, you know, learning about it, reading about it in like a textbook, you know? So that's my quick example. I'm there for it. I will help education in VR any way possible.
Awesome question. Is it Stiru? I'm getting that right?
Yeah, yeah. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
There you go.
Thank you. So I've seen the new video from the new series that you're planning. I think it was about the VR FPS vein or something like that with the 2 teams,
Right.
black and white. I loved it. It was really awesome. And I
Oh,
was
thank you.
wondering, with the Tuesday news days plus this new series plus the few other videos that you make, do you plan on going like a bigger team like some YouTubers do, like they make some kind of group of YouTubers and do stuff together?
Right. So I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna go on a bit of a tangent here, but thank you. That's actually a really great question. It's been on my mind a lot lately. I've got there's this constant pressure that I have for myself to constantly make better and better content and videos, and it's really unhealthy sometimes, but I think it's part of who I am. I want every video to be better than the last. I think Tuesday Newsday is a bit of an exception from that because it's just a series that I can pump out and people know what to expect. But in terms of my other content, reviews or the Veil video, I want to constantly be improving and getting better. And I want that to be very apparent. And I'm kind of at an impasse now because there's the quality is getting to a point to where it takes time, so much time. I'm like a one-man team. There's nobody else that helps me edit or write or like record. And I kind of don't have time to create super high quality reviews quickly. I kind of don't. It's like I've for example, like I got like a Tundra tracker sitting at home and you know, a Deca move, and as much as I want to create super high quality videos the day I get it or the next day, I just don't have the team for it. So I think the only way that I can really move to the next level for the channel, and really that's just a benefit for VR in general, is to maybe grow a little bit of a team and to make things a little bit more official. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to do pretty immediately. Not sure exactly how that's going to go. Not sure how I'm going to do it, but I think that's something that I have to do to like kind of level up. So yeah, that's something I like definitely want to do. I mean, like, my goal for the channel, which I say this kind of as a joke, but not really. I wanna be like equivalent like a Linus Tech Tips media group idea for AR, VR, XR, SR, Apple, so yeah, just to really be a reliable source that people can always come to, have quick content about things that are coming out all the time. Because let's be real, AR, VR, XR, we're on the cutting edge all the time. There's crazy news that's almost unbelievable that happens every week. So yeah, I just wanted I want to pace with that, not fall behind, because I'm pretty far behind in videos. Not gonna lie, I got a lot of content that's just in there waiting to be made.
Very cool. Thank you for your question. And thanks for that. Killer Clown, you have the microphone there, the megaphone. Hold on, there you go. Killer Clown.
Thank you. Hi. Wish I had a better question, but I have a Quest 2, as most people do, but I'm looking to get into the VR scene more heavily with the PC VR headset.
Right.
Do you have any recommendations? Any like good PCs, any good headsets?
Right. So right now, my headset. Okay, I've got kind of like three headsets that I use for almost everything. Quest 2 is my standalone mobile headset, so I'm using actually right now. I'm not in my studio or apartment right now. By the way, I'm at a remote location on a Quest 2, which is super awesome that I can even do that. But in terms of PC VR, I use my Index for almost everything. I've been using the Pimax for a Pimax 5K Super for single player experiences. But for anything multiplayer or content creation, it's always Index. So I mean, I would say Index, but really, let's be real. The Quest 2 is a perfectly viable PC VR headset. There's no reason that it would hold you back, other than if you really, really want full body tracking and like Steam VR tracking, and really move over to the Steam ecosystem. Then maybe something like the Index will be what you want to go for. That's just a big monetary investment, whereas the Quest 2 is a perfectly capable PC VR headset, right? Especially if you have a good Wi-Fi 6 router.
Okay, next question here. Thank you for that question, Killer Clown. Rainy Cobra 7, you are up.
This might be a stupid question, but what is like the worst way you've ever like damaged or like mutilated a headset or like controllers?
I mean, ironically, throwing a Quest 2 in the dryer didn't do anything. The worst way I've mutilated a headset is probably an Index. I mean, I've done stupid stuff with an Index. I've done handstand. I mean, I stream on Twitch on VR chat. Like, there's only so many things you could do before you start like, doing stupid things, right? But probably the worst way I've mutilated one. Just pretty recently, I was just tightening down the headset, and then I adjusted it, moved it around. I was live at the time as well, and the whole side of the Index just popped. And springs went flying because there's like retention springs in the side. Springs went flying. Right in the middle. I was live at the time too. I was like, "Oh, sorry guys, but my headset's broken. Just broke right now." Yeah, it's probably the worst I've done. I've scratched a lens on a Oculus Go before, but some Polywatch fixed that up.
That's good to know. Polywatch, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for that question. We have several questions, so I'll just kind of get us going here. Big Boy Bauer, you have the megaphone.
Yes.
You
Sorry.
are.
Hello.
There you are.
Okay. So my question is, if you could create like any VR experience, what would you make? Like, what's your perfect VR experience?
Right. So experience or like game, because I guess they could be a little bit different.
Probably like a game of some sort.
Okay, game. So like one thing that I've been really, really wishing for, we have decent VR, or a few decent VRs, battle royales within VR. We have a few decent like regular shooters. I want a really good hero shooter. I think I still play Overwatch a lot, or TF2. I still play both. I'm a big hero shooter. I like Valorant too. It's just a genre that I love, and I get super competitive within that. I no longer. I mean, I'm like 24 now. I don't do like high school or college sports. games are usually how I get my competitive nature out. I haven't really found a VR game that I've been able to take seriously competitively yet. And I think that a really, really good hero shooter is the way to do it. I mean, I always say like Overwatch, but in VR, but it's way more than that. Because you don't have to like Genji, for example. If there's nobody, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's just an Overwatch character. But Genji, for example, throwing your shurikens. You could physically throw shurikens in VR rather than pressing a button. That sounds incredible. That's like the kind of opportunities that you have within VR. So yeah, a good hero shooter that has a really strong competitive mode to it. Competitively sound.
Very cool. Okay. Devin Vac. You there? You have the megaphone.
Is it working? All right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been making videos and you've been in virtual reality for a long time now. So, how much money do you think you've spent, like overall games, hardware, everything, on VR?
Man, so I got a funny story regarding that, to be honest. I was working before YouTube became my full-time thing. I was working a lot of hours, like 60 to 70 hours in my job, working construction. I was doing road construction actually. At the time, it was very well paying union. I was very happy in like what I was doing at the time. But I put together almost like I saved for quite a bit because I just started my channel and the Quest came out. Rift S came out and the Index came out. And I realized I only have one head, but I kind of have to buy all three of these things. So between that and Vive trackers and replacing my indexes, too much money. But it's kind of like one of those things where it's like once you like reach like a super enthusiast of a hobby, it's like you're spending money where your time is going, right? So it's really not that big of a deal that I'm spending money with VR stuff, but probably within the, if you want a number, are you including PC hardware? Oh man, okay, probably in like the 20K-ish area, 10,
Wow.
15. But I mean, that's between everything, multiple indexes. You got to think every time it's $1,000. Every time you do, right? Every time you break
Easily.
one. And like, I don't really have an option to not have one. So it's like a business expense, I guess, at that point.
Write it off in your taxes.
Oh yeah, oh for sure. It's like, oh man, another index broke. Shit, sorry for language, but yeah, but like, so that it's like some people have other business expenses. I don't know, if you review cars, you probably buy a lot of cars. I'm probably not, actually. That's a terrible example, but yeah, so yeah, but yeah, so that's probably around there. And then PC hardware, I'm addicted to PC hardware. I like having the latest and greatest. That's just what I'd like to spend my money on, I guess.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's a lot of money. But let's move on here. We have better than. Is it better than none? You have the megaphone.
Can you hear me? Check.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, super pumped. Really appreciate
Better
your
than unicorn.
consistency. That's the
Oh,
thing
thanks.
that I appreciate the most, is that it's just like, no matter what's going on, I know that you're going to produce something that's going to be interesting to consume, and I love how powerful it is. The question that I have for you is, you're welcome. The question I have for you is, gaming teaches us a lot neuro in our brains, right? We're learning a lot just by playing games. In VR, when we play, there's something additional that's happening in the brains, and I'm curious what you would name the things that we're learning in VR that are distinct from any other games up to now.
Okay. Yeah. So, there's a weird phenomenon. Now, I guess it's not really that weird because you're using your hands and things are far more intuitive in VR, usually, as long as the control scheme's all right. A well-designed VR game is so much easier to get somebody that's not a gamer into. Right. And I think that has a lot to do with how our brains interact with something like a VR game. Let's just one example is Half-Life Alyx. That's just an easy one because it's easy to control, easy to pick up, and I've gotten people that have, no joke, never picked up an Xbox controller before, and they hop in with a pair of knuckles into Half-Life Alyx, first ever VR experience, and they're able to pick it up quick. I'm sure that plenty of you have tried to go get a partner or a mother or somebody, a father that doesn't really play games, into like playing, I don't know, Call of Duty, and it just doesn't click. It doesn't work. It takes hours and hours and hours of muscle memory to use a controller or a keyboard and mouse in a way to play those games. Versus VR, you can very intuitively pick it up and know, oh, these are my hands. You know, this is my grip, right? And so VR is in a weird spot right now because it's far more inaccessible than typical gaming, but it's in a way far more accessible to a wider audience, to the people that don't play games. They're not gamers. They didn't grow up playing with an Xbox or whatever. So I don't know if that exactly answered your question, but I think that the intuitiveness of VR is incredibly important, and it's a big strength of VR. And I think it'll be more important as things get cheaper and just better.
Yep, great question. And by the way, you mentioned Half-Life Alyx, and they're celebrating their 1-year anniversary.
Happy birthday yesterday, right?
Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the game is available 40% off. So that's, if you don't have it, I highly recommend it. Vespa, you have the megaphone. Are you there?
Yeah, so
There you are.
yeah, I mainly what I play is more realistic type shooter games, like on PC, all about Armor, Tarkov, and that. Do you think there's room in the VR market for a similar sort of realistic shooter?
Yes. And so we have a lot of like milsims right now. It's kind of like a joke in the VR community that we have a little bit maybe too many milsims, but really I think that we have a lot of games that are almost milsim-y, if that's what you're like looking for, but they're not quite there in terms of hyper realism. I think that a super hyper realistic Arma 5 VR is a total. It's a market that's untapped still. Onward's great. It's amazing. Has great competitive potential. Amazing player base. Other games are pretty sweet as well, but I think I'm echoing somewhere.
No, you sound good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, a super hyper realistic milsim is definitely. I would love to see it. I just don't see a studio right now that is capable of producing, like an Arma 5 VR level of game, right? I just don't see it happening at this moment. But who knows? There's a lot of VR projects that I've never heard about that are being developed, underground. So we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Dean Drop, you have the megaphone. And thanks for everybody for waiting so long. We have a bunch of questions still. Go ahead, Dean Drop.
Okay, so I just wanted to ask you about kind of the future of social VR. I'm sure you got a lot of hours in VR chat, but wondering if you've tried Chill Out VR or Neo VR. I know I've tried Chill Out VR last month, and I thought, it just has a lot more functionality to it, and in terms of being able to like make props in it too, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, you go ahead for sure. Go ahead for sure. Sorry.
There's a second question to it, which is, VR chat. It's really popular, right? It's the most popular one if anybody's heard of a social kind of VR platform. And there's some concerns there as well in terms of just the sketchy stuff that happens to go on there. Drugs, alcohol, and other things, and there's minors that are involved, and there should be age restrictions in certain cases. So, just kind of wondering about all that kind of stuff.
Right. So I'll start with the first one, and I'll talk a little bit about VR chat, CVR, Neos, Sanser, whatever. I guess you could throw Altspace in there as well. But Rec Room as well. Sorry, of course. So you look at VR chat is a really awesome platform. It has a ton of potential, and it has a giant player base. One of the biggest player bases for VR users, not just overall users, but for VR users, one of the biggest player bases that VR has active, and it's a huge asset to the VR industry right now in general. It's kind of proving that hey, it can be done. And there's other guys that are doing it arguably better. Neos is an amazing platform. I love it. Personally, and also CVR, Chill Out VR is another amazing platform that I'm super excited about. I want to see where these things go. I've talked with Neo, he's the main guy over at CVR, and I've been in CVR quite a few times, and a lot of guys in my community are really into CVR as well. I'm down for it. I will support it 100%. For me personally, VR chat has something that CVR and Neos just doesn't have right now, and that's that extremely bustling, diverse player base that's massive for a VR application. And that's something that just has to grow. We have options, which is great. It's not just VR chat. You can go to Neos and you can find friends. You can be in there and you can learn how it works, and bring your friends over and have a great time. It's just not quite as large as VR chat, and so it's like the bigger you are, the more attention comes to you whenever you're a social application. Because if you're a large social, I think you get the point. So yeah, I'm down to support CVR and Sanser and all these other applications. Really, nobody's won the race. There's no winning. It's just who does what best. Everybody has different features that are better than others, or some are worse than others, and they all have their issues. They all have their great things. In terms of the age restriction thing, I 100% agree. I think that there's a lot of sketchy things that happen in social applications online, in the internet in general. And VR can really break that boundary because there's physical presence. It's not just a chat room. Not saying a chat room can't be harmful, but it's not just a chat room. There's physical presence, and there's a certain degree of touching, and so yeah, I don't know. I don't want to speak exactly on how it should be regulated or how things should be changed or moderated, but I do agree that heavier moderation is something that that definitely needs to be a forefront conversation in terms of social VR in the future, especially as we grow, because the problem's going to come up. It's solving that problem beforehand before it becomes so much of an issue to where you're on national television for some crazy thing that happened within VR chat or CVR, right? It's always a big worry of mine that people will get massively freaked out over some weird scandal in VR, right? People don't understand VR. It just you hear crazy things, and then people freak out. They've never been in VR chat before, but they hear that there's some scandal that happened. Not that it's going to happen, but avoiding those things before that happens. If that makes sense.
Good question. So we have time for one more question. I apologize we couldn't get to every question, but we have time for one more. Of course, Thrillseeker your information is on the web. If you have if you couldn't get your question to him today, you can email him and whatnot. Anything you need. So our next question, our last one, goes to San Marco. You have the. Hold on, San Marco. There you go. You have the megaphone.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi there. My question was just in regards to the Quest 2. I know you usually use the Valve, but if you kind of record videos on the Quest 2, how would you recommend recording your voice audio?
So the Quest 2 microphone isn't terrible. I mean, you guys are hearing me on it right now, actually. It's not terrible. Personally, what I do if I'm recording audio using a Quest 2 is I use a separate microphone transmitter. I have like a Sennheiser little microphone, wireless microphone, lapel mic that I use. Otherwise, a mod mic works great. Mod mics, it's $100 for like a wireless mod mic, and usually a higher mic quality than standard Quest 2 microphone. And it's a cleaner transmission that you can sync up with your video later on too, with the actual video recording.
Awesome. Very cool. So that's it for the questions, and I apologize we couldn't get to everybody. But can we give a big round of emojis for Thrillseeker for being here, and also for winning the social influencer of the year. Do want to thank you for coming. I do want to let everybody know that the nominations for the next awards are up. So if you go to vraixr.org, you can nominate and find the next influencer. And of course, we appreciate all of you for joining us. And Thrillseeker, thank you for joining us. And
for sure.
At this point, I'm going to open up the boundaries, and if you guys want to hang out, and I'm not sure if you want to hang out for a bit, but I encourage you to I'm just going to take off the megaphone off of everybody, and we can just kind of have like a kind of a hangout.
Yeah. One last thing, real quick. So I don't if I was like super choppy or anything like that, I apologize. I usually don't I haven't taken like a real vacation probably since I started the channel. It's always scary because in case something comes out or like some news happens, I want to be by my PC immediately to go cover it. That's just how it goes. So I'm super scared to like go on vacation or whatever. But I'm actually in the hotel room right now on the Quest 2, which is also pretty amazing that the Quest 2 is even capable of that, right? I'm in Altspace having a meeting with somebody in a hotel. It's incredible. But so if there were some audio problems or this is a family at the moment, but awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And we'll I mean, do you guys come on up and say hi if you want?